and welcome to National Action Network Saturday Action Rally. We are coming to you live on WLIB 1190 AM in New York. We're streaming to you across the country on a number of platforms, including Facebook and nationalactionnetwork.net. We are live right here in the House of Justice, 106 West 145th Street. Call somebody, tell them the action is on the air. The Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton is in the house and getting ready to come to you. We're so pleased that you are with us on this Saturday morning, because if it's Saturday, this is where the action is. Our president and founder is the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton. The chairman of our board is Reverend Dr. W. Franklin Richardson, senior pastor of Grace Baptist Church in Mount Vernon, New York. I'm Attorney Michael Hardy. Will be with you throughout the broadcast this morning. We are so pleased to have with us this morning for our inspirational word, the Reverend Patrick Young, pastor of First Baptist Church in East Elmhurst, New York. Of course, if it's Saturday, you know our dear sister Katrina Jefferson is with us to ask, what's on your mind? That's right, she wants to know what's on your mind, because there's so much that's happening across the country, across the state, across the cities, wherever you are. There's something going on that you should be thinking about, and you can share that with Katrina Jefferson on What's on Your Mind. If you haven't had a chance to get to Katrina, you can still do so. You can email her at what'sonyourmind@nationalactionnetwork.net, or you can call 877-626-4651 and tell her what's on your mind. Of course, our musical director, Minister Tyrone Richardson, is in the house. Call somebody, tell them the action is on the air. The Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton is in the house and getting ready to come to you. Once again, brothers and sisters, I have to tell you that you know that next Thursday, if I'm not mistaken, is the last Thursday of the month. And if it's the last Thursday of the month, which is October 28th, it is legal night here at National Action Network. So we want to remind all of you that we are here next Thursday. It'll be on Zoom. You can go to the website, or you can call the toll-free number, 877-626-4651, to get all of the login information for the last legal night of 2021. And then we will be back in the new year. So we hope that you join. Tell your friends, tell your families, tell anybody that may need a little direction on issues that they may be confronting to Zoom in this Thursday evening, 7 p.m. we actually start, and we want to see you as we will do our last legal night of the year. But right now, brothers and sisters, Dr. Alvin Ponder, Vice President of the New York City chapter, will have some information for you. Let's welcome him.
Thank you, Attorney Hardy. Good morning, brothers and sisters, listeners and viewers, and thank you for tuning in to another Saturday Action Rally with the National Action Network. Here's some information to keep you in the know. 30 years of activism in action. Vice President Kamala Harris is headlining NAN's 30th anniversary. U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris will deliver the keynote address at Reverend Al Sharpton and the National Action Network's coined Celebration Above All event, commemorating 30 years of activism. The celebration set for November 1st at Carnegie Hall will honor NAACP New York State Conference President Hazel Dukes, the creator and executive producer of Saturday Night Live, Lauren Michael, and Viacom CBS Executive Vice President, Global Head of Inclusion Public Affairs, Kids and Family Entertainment Brands, Marva Smalls. Yeah. The event will also celebrate Reverend Sharpton's 67th birthday, dating back to her days in the U.S. Senate. Reverend Sharpton and Vice President Harris have worked closely on multiple initiatives important to the Biden administration, like the George Floyd Justice in Police and Act, the Voting Rights Act, the legislation that aims for equality for Americans. 80th birthday celebration for Reverend Jessie L. Jackson Sr. Yesterday, you should have been here. On Friday, October 22nd, civil rights leader Reverend Al Sharpton, the National Action Network, hosted a grand celebration and book signing in honor of civil rights leader and social justice icon, Reverend Jessie Lewis Jackson, right here at NAN's headquarters in Harlem. A mentor to Reverend Sharpton, Reverend Jackson named the National Action Network Harlem headquarters the House of Justice in 1995. Reverend Jessie Jackson has dedicated his life and career to activism, paving the way for many black elected officials when he mounted his nationwide campaign for president in 1984 and again in 1988. Prominent elected officials stood with Reverend Sharpton, including former Congressman Rangel and Mayor Bill de Blasio, soon to be Mayor Eric Adams, Public Advocate Jumani Williams, Hazel Dukes, aforementioned, and attorney Jennifer Jones Austin. They all stood with Reverend Sharpton and NAN as they saluted the historic work that Reverend Jackson has done to advance civil rights. Reverend Al Sharpton's sign is critically acclaimed, Rise Up, Confronting a Country at the Crossroads, newly released on paperback. Reverend Al Sharpton also signed copies of his historic book, Keeping Hope Alive. If you missed the event, catch up on it on our website at www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Sharpton renamed New York Street after Colin Powell. Listen. Reverend Al Sharpton is calling for a street in Brooklyn, New York, named after Confederate Army leader Robert E. Lee, to be renamed in honor of the late United States General and former Secretary of State Colin Powell. Reverend Sharpton and the National Action Network have previously condemned the street, General Lee Avenue, which runs through the center of Fort Hamilton, New York City's only U.S. military base. Robert E. Lee is infamously known for leading the Confederate troops during the Civil War. Welcome to all of you who have tuned in and joined us also via live stream at www.nationalactionnetwork.net and also live on Facebook at National Action Network. If this is your first time joining us or if you are not a member of NAN, we welcome you to NAN and invite you to join us and get to the action today. For more information and to join, you may visit again www.nationalactionnetwork.net or call 877-626-4651. Again, that's 877-626-4651. Or text the word NAN, N-A-N, to 59769. Welcome.
All right, thank you, Dr. Ponder. Right now, brothers and sisters, our dear sister, Katrina Jefferson, the coordinator here at National Action Network, House of Justice, is going to ask you what's on your mind. That's right, she wants to know what's on your mind. Good morning, Katrina.
Good morning, Attorney Hardy, and good morning to each and every one of you that are listening by way of WLIB 1190 AM, to those that are watching by way of our live streaming platforms, Facebook and www.nationalactionnetwork.net, and to those that are here live, here at the fantastic House of Justice in the great village of Harlem. Welcome to another weekend's conversation of What's on Your Mind, where you, the people, you, the community, have the opportunity to interact with the National Action Network 24 hours a day by emailing us at what's on your mind at nationalactionnetwork.net. Again, that email address is what's on your mind at nationalactionnetwork.net, or you may call us at 877-626-4651. This is a wonderful time for you all to send in your thoughts. Maybe you overheard something while you were in transit this week, or something you saw on the news that you want to bring to the forefront, or an issue that's happening nationally that you want to highlight. Now is the time for you all to speak and share what is on your mind. I know we've got something coming from one of our audience members, one of our senior saints here, and she would like to share with us. Good morning. Give us your name. Let us know where you are from and share with us what's on your mind.
Greetings, man. My name is Ivy Walter from Brooklyn, New York. Let me tell you what's on my mind. Well, first of all, we want to say this. Let me just say, our mother and I were working, as I said before, and I go way back with Reverend Shelton. Me and one of my girlfriends, God bless her, she dead now. But we used to tear the 8th Avenue line down, rushing to Washington Temple to hear this boy preacher preach. So with that said, let me just tell you guys what's on my mind. Excuse me, okay? But tell me this, and Mother don't want to get religious with you guys. But tell me this, when God threw Lucifer out of heaven, and I said this to one of the girls I was talking to them, did he take it back into heaven? When God took Adam and Eve out of the Garden of Eden, did he put them back in? Nope. When Pharaoh's army got drowned, did you hear it call out Pharaoh? No. So why do we think that 45 deserve to go back in the White House? When we prayed, and a lot of us prayed and asked God to take him out. As a matter of fact, people were dancing in the street. So do we go backwards or do we go forward? No. Listen, if all like Bill Cosby, excuse me for saying that because you got a lot of people that don't. But he said, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you so much, Mother, for sharing with us what's on your mind. Today's activity day, we're taking a tour around the audience here at the House of Justice. We got another audience contributor. Good morning. Give us your name. Share with us where you are, where you come to us from.
Yes, I come
Hold on one second, because I got to give you the microphone. Share with us where you are from and what is on your mind today.
Okay, Katrina, thank you. Good morning. I am Mama Sandy, Chairwoman Media for Washington, D.C. Of media, under NEA 2X. And with us are our friends that are all NAN members, Sharon Cornish, Karen Cornish, and Mama Wilma. All here, we're all NAN members, okay? I only want to give a quick shout out, praises last night, because I was so elated and glad for the praises of God for Reverend Jessie Jackson and Reverend Al Sharpton, who is not only working his community because the people need him, and we need this. So that's what we're here to represent. And I thank you so much, Katrina.
You are so very welcome. Thank you to all of our DC NAN members for coming to celebrate with us the 80th birthday of the Honorable Reverend Jessie Jackson Jr. It was great to have you with us tonight, and certainly a pleasure to have you with us here this morning at the Saturday Action Rally. And we are, two more things before we close. Next comes from one of our longtime contributors, the great Rodney Jones. Yes. Who emailed about the NFL and racism. Yes, football season is back in full effect. Stats are going up, and you're hearing, dissertations, if you will, on all the sports networks about who's going to play, who's going to the Super Bowl, who's in the running, and here are Rodney Jones's thoughts. The Las Vegas Raiders head coach, Jon Gruden, resigned this past week due to racist, homophobic, and misogynistic emails that were sent dating back to 2010. First reported by the Wall Street Journal and confirmed by the New York Times, Coach Gruden made racist statements about NFLPA, that's the NFL Player Association, President DeMaurice Smith, who is African American. Coach Gruden apologized at a press conference and coached the Raiders that Sunday. He resigned on Monday when the New York Times reported him using homophobic and misogynistic language. At NFL offices here in New York City, there are 11 executive VP positions. 2 are held by African Americans. 70% of the players in the NFL are African American. 3 NFL head coaches are African American. 2 others are people of color. This goes deeper than former coach John Gruden. No justice, no peace. And I have to add, out of 32 NFL teams, 0 have ownership by African Americans. And that again comes from our very own Rodney Jones of Queens, New York, who is a frequent contributor to the conversation of what's on your mind. And last comes from myself. What's on my mind is New Yorkers. Today is the first day of what? Early voting. Yes, we have a major election coming up in November, and certainly that will lead us on to next year's election as well. But it's very important that if you have not done so, regardless of where you reside in this wonderful city, that you look up where your polling place is, you look up what and who is on the ballot. Why? Because we've learned historically that local elections matter. The local elections influence what happens on the top, okay? So it's not just about the state level or the nationwide elections, it's about the local elections too. And so if you have a challenge finding where you're supposed to go and vote, if you have a question about what's on your ballot and what should be flagged in your community, please give us a call at 877-626-4651. We are here Monday through Saturday and are committed to making sure that our communities are educated as to what's going on around them, when their elections occur, where their early voting poll sites are, and certainly flagging any issues that are happening at the poll locations as well. Again, that telephone number is 877-626-4651. And what's on my mind is early voting starts today here in New York City. Thank you so much for joining us for this weekend's conversation of What's on Your Mind. Keep in mind that everything that you heard here is simply the thoughts and the viewpoints of the contributors and do not reflect those of the National Action Network directly. And we invite you to dialogue with us 24 hours a day by emailing us at whatsonyourmind@nationalactionnetwork.net. Again, that email address is whatsonyourmind@nationalactionnetwork.net. Or if you don't have access to the internet or email, you can give us a call at 877-626-4651. We'd love to hear from you. Back to you, Attorney Marty.
Thank you, Katrina, for What's on Your Mind every week. You can let her know what's on your mind. And Katrina, early voting, and also make sure you turn those ballots over because there are important ballot questions on the ballot. And then wherever you're voting across the country, make sure you are fully informed of all of the issues on your ballot. Once again, I want to remind you that this Thursday, October 28th, is the last Thursday of the month. If it's the last Thursday of the month, it's legal night here at National Action Network. You can call 877-626-4651 to get all the login information to Zoom in to legal night. It is our last legal night of the year, so you want to make sure that you are part of it. So call your friends, your family, those that may need to have questions and direction given on issues that they may be confronting so that they can Zoom in for our legal night, which is always the last Thursday of the month. We hit it at 7 p.m., so you want to make sure you're logged in place and ready to go with legal night. This Thursday, October 28th, 7 p.m. We'll see you on the Zoom for our legal night. Right now, brothers and sisters, our musical director, Minister Tyrone Richardson.
Exceedingly, abundantly, above all you could ask or think, according to the power that worketh in you. God is able to do just what He said He would do. He's gonna fulfill every promise to you. Don't give up on God, 'cause He won't give up on you. He's able.
Richardson, accompanied by Chris Garland. Right now, brothers and sisters, we're going to come in the house here at National Action Network, and the Guardians, who provide so much assistance here, is headed up by Dre Baker, and he's going to come and talk to us now about in the house and the work of the Guardian.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. I can do better than that. Good morning, good morning. Welcome to the House of Justice. My name is Dre Baker, and I'm the chairman of the Guardians. And we have a couple of things that the Guardians and security have set in place here at the House of Justice when you enter. And it's for your safety reason, and it's also for the safety of our leader, Dr. Reverend Al-Shafter. Please, when you come in here, respect and honor the wishes that we put out in protecting the House of Justice. So if our security team tell y'all do something, just respect them because it's the safety for y'all guys also, okay? And once again, the safety for Dr. Reverend Al-Shafter. It's very important for y'all to come in here, enjoy the Saturday rally, and to listen to all the speakers that's here, and inspirational speakers also, and just enjoy and make everybody feel more comfortable and secure here. And that's what we do here as the Guardians. And also, if anybody would like to be part of the Guardians, please see me or my assistant Troy, and we'll sit down and explain to you what our duties. Right now, I cannot explain everything because everything is secret within us. All right, so we take it very serious. No matter if we here at the House of Justice or at the convention, any place, we take our job very serious. And once again, our job is to protect Dr. Reverend Al-Shafter and also you guys. So once again, thank you for being here at the Saturday rally. Thank you for all you members and upcoming members also. Thank you. Have a blessed day.
All right, thank you, Brother Dre Baker, for that. In the house, here we are at the House of Justice. Right now, brothers and sisters, this is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and we are so pleased to have with us this morning to talk to us about domestic violence awareness is Erica Ewing. She is the CEO and founder of Got to Stop LLC. Let's give her a welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm going to be standing before you with 3 courageous women, and so we want you to hear our stories.
Hello, everyone. Oh, can you guys hear me? Sure. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, and thank you for having us. My name is Angelina Rosado, and I'm the founder and director of Returning Hope, Inc. We're a nonprofit domestic violence organization. We educate survivors as well as educate the youth in our communities on domestic violence awareness. We host prevention workshops with the teens and survivor support groups. We create safety plans and help survivors transition from unsafe homes to safe places. I am a survivor of both teen dating violence and domestic violence. My first experience with domestic violence was at the age of 4 years old when I witnessed my mom being dragged out of a car and beaten up by her boyfriend. When she got back in the car, she told me everything was going to be okay. My personal experience begins at the age of 15 when I met my daughter's dad. After being together for a while, we began arguing and fighting, and at the time I thought it was normal because it was something that I seen, and I didn't know any better. I thought this was love. After 8 years, and at the age of 23, I knew I had to get out, so I did just that. I planned my escape. We lived at Vegas at the time, and I left with just 1 packed bag and no money. I moved back to New York City and started life over with just me and my 3-year-old. I'm lucky to be alive today. I have my daughter to thank for that. She told me everything was gonna be okay, Mommy. Without her knowing, she returned hope back into my life. And that's why my organization is called Returning Hope, because I wanted to do just that, what she did for me, for others. Thank you.
My name is Erica Lucille Ewing. I am the CEO and founder of Got to Stop, LLC, a social impact consulting company and lifestyle brand. We raise awareness about social injustice through the arts, education, advocacy, and fashion. We amplify the voices of individuals and work with grassroots organizations so that their thoughts, experiences, and ideas can be heard by those who have the power to make change. Through fashion activism, we awaken social consciousness and spark courageous conversations. Shanice Young was shot and killed in Harlem by her ex-boyfriend. I was saddened, but even more dismayed, that the media was irresponsible in their reporting. They didn't tell the whole truth. They missed an opportunity and did not talk about how the legal systems failed her, how domestic violence is one of the leading causes of death in Black and brown and LGBTQA+ communities, how the trauma lasts a lifetime, how domestic violence is one of the major causes of homelessness in this city, and how the spaces built to protect and support victims are perpetuating abuse and causing more harm. This has got to stop. As an activist, ally, and domestic violence survivor, I want to wake up the world and take this conversation to the lawmakers and the streets.
Let me get real with y'all real quick. The reality is, Shanice got out. She took the steps we tell all survivors to take. She got 3 orders of protection. Most importantly, she allowed herself to love again. Yet her and her unborn child was still gunned down in front of her 2 daughters. The media stated that a fight broke out between 2 men, and that was false. The media also stated that she got in the middle of this fight and the gun just went off. That was false. When speaking to reliable sources, we learned that this man stalked, waited, and ambushed them, walking right up to them, point blank, pointed the gun at her head and shot her twice. He was charged with second degree homicide. There's no laws against domestic violence. Domestic violence is not a real crime. And that's what we need to change, and we need your help to do that. We will make laws, change current policies and practices to keep victims safe, alive, and supported. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Dr. Coraline Griffith Hunt, and I am a human, industrial, and trauma psychologist. I am a member of the Mental Health Council Association here in New York. I'm a member of the American Psychological Association, the Academy of Traumatic Stress, and the National Center for Crisis Management. And also, I am the founder of Creative for Greatness Leadership Group, which is a humanitarian and development organization. So when Erica asked me to join their campaign as a survivor of sexual assault and as a clinician who specializes and understands the various aspects of trauma, I knew that it was imperative to stand with these courageous women. You see, we have to bring awareness of the spiritual, the psychological, the physiological, the emotional impacts of trauma. The truth is, we are created in relationship. We are loved in relationship. But we are also hurt through relationship. And honestly, we can only be healed by relationship. So what will it take? It's great to have courageous conversation, because that's the first step. But how do we honor courageous conversation? We honor the conversation by implementation. You see, implementation requires those in our communities, in leadership, and in government, and our faith-based organizations to be united. We must demand that our laws and policies be put in place to protect our women, the tapestry of our communities. We have to have laws that will protect our children, and yes, even our men. You see, because if we do not do that, my sisters and my brothers, we will continue to repeat what we don't repair. Thank you.
All right, we want to thank Sister Erica and Got to Stop for that presentation today on that important issue of domestic violence. Once again, brothers and sisters, our musical director, Minister Tyrone Richardson.
Tragedies are commonplace, all kind of diseases, people are slipping away. The economy's down, people can't get enough pay. As for me, all I can say is thank you, Lord, for all you've done for me. Yeah, folks without homes, living out in the streets, and the drug habits, some say they just can't be. Their mothers and robbers, no place seems to be safe. But you've been my protection, every step of the way. I wanna say thank you, Lord, for all you've done for me. Yeah, it could have been me, my Lord, with no food and no clothes. All that's the love without a friend, or just another number with a tragedy. But it didn't seem fit to let none of these things be. And every day my power keeps on blessing me. And I wanna say thank you, Lord, for all you've done for me. I wanna say thank you, Lord, for all you've done for me. I wanna say thank you, Lord, for all you've done for me.
Mr. Tyrone Richardson, our musical director, accompanied by Chris Collin. Brothers and sisters, it is indeed our honor and privilege this morning to have with us a dear colleague of the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton, a dear friend of National Action Network, for our inspirational word. And he is the Reverend Patrick Young, pastor of First Baptist Church in East Elmhurst, New York. Let's give him a great welcome.
Thank you, Attorney Hardy, and to our trailblazer for justice, Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton, and to my brothers and sisters of NAN and the family of NAN, National Action Network. It's a pleasure and honor to be here with you this morning for these tidbit moments for spiritual direction and help. I want to look for 1 Peter chapter 1, verses 3 to 5. It reads, "Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, according to his great mercy, has caused us to be born again to a living hope through the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead, to an inheritance that is imperishable, undefiled, and unfading, kept in heaven for you, who by God's power are being guarded through faith for salvation ready to be revealed in the last time. May the words of my mouth, meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. Amen. I want to talk from the subject, keep hope alive. On the backdrop of celebrating the life and memory and celebrating the birthday of our trailblazer for justice and prophetic voice through our history, Reverend Dr. Jessie Jackson. And as we celebrate him on yesterday, I thought about being here last night. What could I say tonight? And I thought about this text this morning, and then I hear the sisters talk about hope, and agency talk about hope. And I want to just talk briefly from the subject, keep hope alive. We know that the icon, trailblazer for justice, Reverend Jessie Jackson, always stood in his opening remarks, keep hope alive. But then James Weldon Johnson has in his wonderful song, Stone in the Road, we trod in, lift every voice. He says, stone in the road we trod better than chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died. But yet with a steady beat, we have not our weary feet come to the place where our Father sighed. We have come over the way, tears of slaughter. We have come treading the path through the blood of the slaughter. These wonderful words embrace not just what Jessie Jackson said, but embrace the saints who fought, struggled, and went through suffering moments of then, but also saints who are dealing with the struggle even now. Here, this wonderful word on keep hope alive is reminded that in spite of what we go through, life is not to destroy you, but life is to develop you. It is just a process, and it is purpose, but it's also a period of time. In this wonderful passage of scripture that Peter writes, he writes of these saints who were scattered, those who were quarantined, remind me, say, scattered, suffering, and those who was said in this text, were sprinkled with blood. He highlights those saints that are going through the struggle, going through the difficulty, going through the hard time, devastation of life, handling under pressure. It reminds us of today, we are still under pressure. We're still handling difficult days. We're still dealing with struggles. We're still going through hard times. But how you handle it determines how you go through it. In this wonderful text that Peter reminds us that hope helps us to handle hopeless conditions. Here Peter reminds us that hope gives us a light in the midst of dark situations. And here this wonderful passage of scripture brings us to Brian, and here Peter wants to elevate the mindset and don't allow the atmosphere dictate the outcome. And here Peter gives this wonderful outline quickly, and he says that you have something great. He said, blessed be God. And that word blessed, I like that because it reminds us that you are blessed in spite of your burdens. If you are alive, you are blessed. If you're still living and moving and have your being, you're still blessed. In spite of what we face, it reminds us here that Peter wants to remind us that if God wake us up and God invite us to move and have our being, in spite of our condition does not control the possibilities that God has for our lives. Oh, I want to say something here that somebody ought to shout right here. You ought to tell your some neighbor that your life has purpose, and if it has purpose, life brings you through a process, but the process is there to develop you and not to destroy you, to make you not better, make you bitter, but make you better. And here what Peter said, first of all, he said, remind him, he said, first, one thing you got to understand, we are blessed when we have a spiritual blessing. We have spiritual benefits. He says, first of all, we serve a God who is in the blessing business. The first thing he blessed us with, he gave us Jesus Christ, and who has become the redeemer of our lives. In other words, God has provided deliverance in our midst of our life situation. It reminds us that God can snatch us from darkness into light. And remind us that God has provided vehicle hope in the midst of our hopeless situation. He reminds us that God has given us redemption, but also God has given us resurrection. That's good news, that whatever life will shake you down and throw you down, the good news that you don't have to stay down. God has provided an opportunity that you can be revived and be resurrected. We are resurrected people. We are not dead people. We're exciting
people. We are people who have hope. People have direction. That's why our ancestors knew that they would sing, my hope is built on nothing less but Jesus' blood and righteousness. I dare not trust the sweetest way, but wholly lean on Jesus' name. They had resurrection hope. They had redemptive hope, but they also have in this text remind us there is a reward. I like that there is an inheritance. We have access to something better. I like that whatever I go through, I got to remember I have access to something better. Whatever I'm facing, I got to remember I got access to something better. Whatever I'm going through in life, I got access to something better. Anytime God wake me up in the morning, I have access to something better. Anytime God allow me to get up in the morning, I have access to something better. Anytime God allow me to breathe this morning, I have access to something better. Anytime God allow me to move and have my being, I have access to something better. Anytime God allow me to walk and talk, I have access to something better. In other words, I want to suggest to you that whatever you're going through, God reminds us that if he scheduled it, he'll make a way out of it. You'll have a witness over here. If God scheduled whatever's on your pathway in life, just remember, if God is your Father, Jesus is your Savior, and the Holy Ghost is your company keeper, he has already provided a way out. Well, let me close this. I like my wonderful wife, Valerie Young. My wife is an extraordinary baker. People be asking her to bake stuff. All I do is go pay for the stuff. People ask her to bake stuff. And she was baking. And so one day she was baking. While she was baking, Dominique, I was observing it, and I was looking at, and the batter started talking to me. The cake batter started talking to me. I ain't lose my mind. Cake batter started talking to me. He said, Reverend, I know you're going to speak soon on me, but I want to let you know. Let me give you my testimony as a cake. He says, when you see me, I look ugly. I've been through a process. I've been stirred up. I've been messed up. I've been through tough situations. I don't look like I'm going to be anything. And matter of fact, make things worse, I have to go through a hot oven. Are you with me today? I have to go through the hot oven. But I want to let you know, if I didn't go through the hot oven, I won't be looking good when I come out. So I have a witness up here. Somebody going to help me. You're going to realize that some of us life look like we messed us up. Life look like we're in bad situations. But just remember, when God sends you through the hot oven of life, he is going to make you better than what you did when you went in before you went in. Blessed be the name of Jesus. We can keep hope alive because God is our Father. Jesus is our Savior. And the Holy Ghost is our company keeper. And therefore, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Keep hope alive. Reverend Patrick Young, First Baptist East Elmhurst, we thank you for that message. Right now, brothers and sisters, we want to have our huddle section, and Aaliyah Gilroy-Nickens is with us this morning, representing the youth huddle.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Aaliyah Gilroy-Nickens. I'm the youth representative for Huddle. First off, I want to wish the one and only Jessie Jackson a happy birthday. He's a true inspiration and legend. I hope he enjoyed the card that we made for him. And by Huddle, our creative contributor, Dan, helped make it, and it was presented to him yesterday by Ocean and Daniel as well. We also joined George Floyd's brother, Terrence Floyd. We are Confront and the George Floyd Foundation for his birthday, which was October 14th. It was a beautiful action down at Union Square. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go, but we always have Huddle members that's able to go and represent Huddle as a whole. He's not here with us anymore, but we'll always keep his name alive. Today there will be an HBCU fair at Millbank on 118th Street from 2 to 5 p.m. They're going to be handing out SAT books, and there's going to be school representatives there. So if you know anyone that might need any help getting into HBCUs or need SAT books, college books, make sure you let them know. It's today at Millbank on 118th, the Children's Day Society, from 2 to 5 p.m. Speaking of HBCUs, there is a housing crisis going on. Our HBCUs, people are paying money out their pockets to have housing and be located on campus, but there's not enough space for them, and the schools aren't doing enough. Students aren't able to protest or participate in any civil disobedience, or they'll be expelled from schools, but the school administrators aren't really doing anything to help. So from New York here, we can help raise awareness and spread awareness for the issue, because students are suffering. They don't have a place to stay. They're not getting put in hotels or anything. So we can help spread awareness and amplify the situation. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, so on Thursday, October 28th, Huddle will be joining Warm for a Stop Domestic Violence March. It starts here at the House of Justice at 5 p.m., 106 West 148th. Then we're going to 128th Street where Shanice Young was killed. She was a young pregnant mother. She was killed by her ex-boyfriend. We're gonna stop there to honor her life that was taken away from us too short. Stephanie McCraw has been fighting to get justice for Shanice, so we will be stopping there. We'll be ending at the State Office Building on 125th around 7:30 p.m. We also supported Weekly Crisis Night and partnered on Monday and Wednesday virtually with the New York Public Advocate's Office and for Rain Griffith on the ballot veterans. This Monday, join us at our weekly program led by youth leaders. Bring your children, nieces, and grandchildren. Huddle stands for Helping and Uniting Dreamers to Develop, Lead, and Empower. I feel like it's very important to come to Huddle. I first came to Huddle because I was introduced by old friends. I was the president and vice president. When I came to Huddle, it was the first space that I had where I could actually use my voice. They always gave me a platform to be able to speak my truth and advocate for what I believe in. I never really had a space like that. You know, there would be spaces where people say that young people have the opportunity to use their voice, but they never really gave them their platform. They will only use it. They will only use young people to make it look like they're trying to be inclusive, but they never really gave them the opportunity. As soon as I joined Huddle, I was able to speak on, and it was virtual, I was able to speak every Monday on the Zooms about different issues like gun violence, social justice issues, even stuff that had to do with rap culture. I was always able to speak about it. I always got that opportunity, so it's really important to come to Huddle. Bring your children. If you know kids from the neighborhood, invite them to Huddle. It's every Monday at 6 p.m. here at the House of Justice. In November, we're going to bring back Occupy the Corner with crisis management groups, because the public health crisis that we're facing right now is gun violence. Almost every week, a new child is dying. It goes to as young as 14. Like last week, 14-year-old was shot and killed getting on a bus, and we're not doing enough as a community to stop this. I feel like we're losing hope. And our young people young people as young as 11 years old are picking up guns and going to shoot the guns, and we're not having this conversation. It's a difficult conversation to have, but we're not having it enough. We're not outside on the streets protesting that enough. It's not an issue that we can exactly protest. We can raise awareness, but what we can do is try to reach the young people, you know, get to them, give them opportunities and resources so they can put the guns down, because it is a public health crisis. Even before the pandemic, it wasn't talked about as much, but after the pandemic, the issue went up more. So in November, we're going to bring back that Occupy the Corners, where we'll go to corners where we feel like the violence has increased, and we'll sit there all night. You know, we're going to start having a table with resources like job fairs, after school programs that we're going to give it out. We're going to interact with them, so we're not just sitting on the corner, you know, like we're invading anybody's neighborhood. We're actually going to interact with them, you know, get to know them, because that's what we don't do enough. We don't really talk to the people in our community. We don't talk to the young people in our community. It's like a wedge between the generations, so that's what we're going to do. Hopefully you can join us with that, and that's all our announcements from Huddle. Thank you.
Brothers and sisters, the Change Ensemble under the direction of Minister Tyrone Richardson.
You brought me through this. You brought me through that. Lord, I'm grateful to you.
further accompanied by Chris Collin. Brothers and sisters, if you're here in the House of Justice, I want you to get on your feet. If you're at home, I want you to put your hands together for the president and founder of the National Action Network, the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton.
No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. What do we want? Justice. What do we want? Justice. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. 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 Fist bump the person next to you, tell them you love them.
Never give up.
Before the U.S. Senate, the bill, freedom to vote. And because of the filibuster, they could not make it law. Some got discouraged. People started calling me from the media. But I remember when we would be lynched to vote. I remember when there was no way we were able to vote at all. But our forefathers kept on fighting, facing lynches, facing death, and brought us from where we were lynched to vote to we had a black president. So we're not going to stop now. We're going to keep fighting because we learned from our parents, our grandparents, and our great-grandparents that if you don't give up, your change will come.
Your change will come.
When I was 12 years old, my mother brought me to Reverend William Jones and Reverend Jessie Jackson. I was a boy preacher, and she wanted, since I became so enthralled with civil rights, she wanted me to stay in the church. And I remember Reverend Jackson then was twice my age, about 25, big afro, dashiki, and I liked that kind of preaching. And over the last over half a century, he and I have been like mentor-mentee. Last night we had to help him walk in here with Parkinson's. Had to hold him up as he spoke. But he was determined to come anyway. Even though his speech was not steady and his foot was not steady, he was able to and determined he was coming even feeble. And because he came, he's an example in his real life. What Patrick Young told you he was in his oratorical life. That even when Parkinson's got your body, you can keep hope alive and you'll change it. Your change will come. Will come. Your change will come. I know you will. Your change will come. Your change will come. Change will Network Change Ensemble, give them a big hand. Give them a big hand. Certainly we're happy to be with you another Saturday morning for our Saturday Action Rally. For you that are here at the House of Justice, 106 West 145th Street in the village of Harlem. And for you that are listening live on 1190 WLIB AM in New York, and you that are listening on various media platforms that we're on live, we're happy to be with you for another Saturday morning to give our report on where the action is. Give a hand out, Presider, Attorney Michael Hardy. Certainly to my friend and fellow freedom fighter, been in the trenches with us a long time, pastor of the First Baptist Church of East Elmhurst, Reverend Dr. Patrick Young. Lot to cover this morning, and I want you at Radio Land to stay with me. First and foremost, as Alvin Ponder announced, next Monday, a week from Monday, November 1st, and I know a lot of y'all see the years winding down. We're going to have our anniversary. Let me say, before I even get to anniversary, as we say winding down, early voting started today in New York. We fought to get early voting in New York. There's early voting all over the country, and we didn't have it in New York. So you have no excuse not to vote. Everybody just about on the ballot you've seen right here on this stage. Everybody, a lot of them was here last night. So you know, you heard them, you know who you want. Everybody ought to go out and vote early or at least by next Tuesday. If you think you're going to hang out after the anniversary rally next Monday night, vote early. Don't talk about I got down to Carnegie Hall and I hung out when it had me an after anniversary communion and didn't get up to vote. So vote early. That's right. Some of y'all laughing like y'all know y'all going to do that. Secondly, our anniversary is program. Let me be real clear. NAN did not start November 91. NAN started in March of 91. Because of COVID and our convention was virtual this year, though some of y'all showed up at the Sheraton anyway, but it was virtual. We did not have the anniversary program until now, where the city is more open. So it will be next Monday night at Carnegie Hall. And Vice President Harris is going to be there to speak. Others will be there from entertainment world and others to help us celebrate 30 years of struggle. And clearly, I told everybody to get their tickets because I wasn't announcing who was coming until after all the tickets was gone, and we did that. And so all of y'all, somebody said to me last night, I didn't know Kamala Harris was coming. I ain't got a seat. I said, you got both of them right. She's coming and you don't have a seat. You got it right on both scores. Because I want people there that are celebrating NAN. Not come see the vice president, not come to see Spike Lee. So the folk that got the tickets are the ones that was coming and wasn't nobody there but us. That is the folks celebrating National Action Network. And I'm happy about it. I'm glad today that one of them that have been with us just about all those 30 years was the head who many years was president of our Syracuse chapter, Syracuse, New York. Stand up, Walt Dixie's in the house. Give Walt Dixie a hand. I went up about 2 weeks ago now, to speak at Colgate University. And they do the sit down with the student leaders and sit down with the faculty heads, and then they have you do the lecture or the conversation, then you sit down after. And people talk about, Walt Dixie, legendary in that part of the state, legendary in NAN, and we were glad he came in early to be with us for last night. Let's welcome our Impact Television family watching us. And I believe, is that Reverend Backus out there? Yeah, come on, sit up here, Reverend Backus, next to Patrick Young. Reverend Backus, who's pastoring Mount Olive Baptist Church in Brownsville. And I didn't, he had the hat on. I didn't know that was a rock star, Reverend Backus. I thought that was a rapper sitting up in the rap. He got on sneakers and a hat. I thought he'd come up here to give me some rap. You might have to take out your oil and anoint him, Pastor. Reverend Reggie Backus, and a social activist preacher. I'm glad that Mount Olive has a long history in my life. I remember when I was a boy preacher, I used to preach at Mount Olive for Reverend R.D. Brown, who was later succeeded by Reverend Spurgeon Creighton, who was very close with National Action Network. I used to do Youth Day Backus for R.D. Brown, and my mother bring me there. I was 8, 9, 10 years old. And Mount Olive was the bedrock church in Brownsville. And they'd raise little speakers offering, and Reverend Brown said, I'm not going to give it to you till you get older and go to college. I'm going to save this for you to go to college. And about 2 years before I got college age, Reverend Brown died. And I went to the funeral looking for my money. So I'll never forget Mount Olive Baptist Church. Somewhere in there, Backus, you got to find an account with my college. I know it's there, because Reverend Brown wouldn't tell me no lie. But I'm glad to see him this morning. Let me thank everybody last night. You couldn't get in here. In fact, we had people standing outside. We had to put the mic outside for a tribute for the 80th birthday of Reverend Jessie Lewis Jackson. And I thought it was important. 30 years ago when we started NAN, Reverend Jackson was with Reverend Jackson and David Dinkins cut the ribbon when we opened the House of Justice. And we had Reverend Jackson do the keynote address since he was my mentor, like I said, since I was 12. And in the address, Patrick, he said that yes, we need NAN. We need a place that those that are not welcomed in the neo-Gothic sanctuaries and the big houses can come. We need a place where people that never went to church at all can come and get refuge when police shoot their children. We need a house of justice where people can come that are unemployed and seek employment. We need a house of justice. And he went on. And that's when I got up and said, we're going to call it the House of Justice. based on what Reverend Jackson said opening night. And I thought it was appropriate, as he now reaches 80th year suffering from Parkinson's, that we would have that for him. And it was wonderful. The mayor came, the next mayor, Eric Adams, was here, the next controller, everybody you can think of, Hazel Dukes, Rangel, all of them there. Give yourselves a hand, hundreds of you call. And I'm going to talk more about that in a minute. But this week, though, has been challenging. Let me tell you something. When we marched August 28th in Washington, I talked about at the march that we've got to bust the filibuster. Part of the impediment to voting rights and George Floyd justice and policing has been the filibuster.
Yeah.
We're going to deal with that George Floyd bill. I'm in Savannah, Georgia tomorrow. You that are watching in Impact TV. In fact, Ahmaud Arbery's father will be with me at the service in the morning. I'm doing the 150th anniversary for the CME church there in Savannah. And Ahmaud Arbery, who was killed last year, when 3 white men saw him jogging and said, oh, he may be the guy that's broken some houses, and killed him, lynched him. And they're picking the jury now. They started jury selection last week. So I'm leaving the day after I do Politics Nation at 5, flying down so I can preach in Savannah. We cannot get either the George Floyd bill or the voting bill through because of the filibuster. Now, in the negotiation of that, in the discussions of that, we said that we want y'all to change and either go with a carve-out or total reform of the filibuster. What's a filibuster, Reverend? Well, it's where they've said now that you need what they call a supermajority to make a law, 60 votes. There's 100 U.S. senators, 2 from each state, 50 times 2. Rather than 51, you win your legislation. You want a supermajority, 60, which is the filibuster. We've said you don't need 60 votes to do budget and fiscal things. You confirmed Donald Trump's nominees to the Supreme Court with just 51 votes carved out. If you can carve out to stack the Supreme Court, you can carve out to preserve and protect our right to vote. So that's why we had these rallies every Saturday morning, all these media outlets, because people need to understand that we are not asking for something that they have not already done. They have done carve-outs. We put them in, we expect them to carve to protect those that put them in the first place. 2 Democrats. Now mind you, the Democrats would not be in the majority if blacks and those that were consciously progressive, blacks and Latinos and Asians and whites, had not stood in line and put them there. Let me tell you something, this was so different that we had the election in November. It got to runoff where in Georgia, they said, well, we got to have a special, it's too close to call. And they had to come back and vote again in a month. The pundits were saying blacks turned out in unusual numbers in Georgia in November, but they ain't gonna come back like that. They came back so strong the second time that for the first time in the history of Georgia, in one day they elected a Jew and a black to the U.S. Senate. Y'all know James Brown was like a father to me, so I spent a lot of time in Georgia. They never dreamed that a Jewish and a black would represent the state of Georgia in the United States Senate. That is why they started conjuring up all these little schemes on changing the voting regulations in these states. A lot of y'all see things and don't know why. That's why. They say, well, we can't stop the numbers. So what we can do, rather than outvote them, is we can come with rules that would stifle their ability to vote.
Yes, sir.
You come in with new legislation about voter fraud when there was no fraud.
That's right. Yeah.
Secretary of State in Georgia said no, there was no fraud. They went through a so-called audit in Arizona, no fraud. Texas, no fraud. But you still gonna change the laws so that it's harder for people to vote. Cut down on early voting days and all of that. That is what we were facing. So we said to the Senate, when we marched in August, when we had meetings with Schumer and others, carve it out. 2 Democrats, Senator from Arizona and Manchin from West Virginia, said, well, we don't want to vote for voting rights unless we can get bipartisan support. We need to have unity. Well, first of all, unity didn't put you in the Senate. We elected enough senators that empowered you. People miss this. Say, well, you know, Manchin come from West Virginia, he's only 2% black. But Manchin would not be in a position of power in the Senate if blacks had not put enough Democrats in around the country that made him even viable. You wouldn't even know his name. So we went and met with Manchin, Martin Luther King III and I. His wife Andrea came. And he said, I can draft a bill that Republicans will vote for. Just give me a couple weeks to do that. We said, all right, but we're going to keep marching, and we did. He got with Schumer and others in the Senate, 8 senators, and drafted this bill, freedom to vote. It's supposed to have been palpable to Republicans. It was palpable to us. Made automatic voter registration, saved early voting, longer periods. It's a good bill. One problem. When Manchin presented the bill this week, not one Republican would vote for the bill. Not one. This was the compromise bill. This was the bill that they could make it work out. Couldn't vote for Senate Bill 1. Not one Republican voted for the bill. That is why we said, now, we gave you your time, you had your bill, it's carve-out time. And even President Biden, for the first time, said the other night that he may have to go with the carve-out. He said that and more may happen. He never said that. Before he was saying he's against changing the filibuster. Now he's saying, well, I'm open to it. But we done pushed him from no to open. Now we got to push him all the way to the carve-out. Let's be real clear. We are talking about protecting our right to vote. All this stuff that we talk about, infrastructure, we need. All we talk about, Medicare, healthcare, we need. All that we talking about in terms of police reform, we need. You can't get any of it if we don't protect our right to vote, because you can't put the people in office that will give that to you. You still got Donald Trump running around talking about he won an election he lost. And let me tell you how, the irony of this is that they say, the right wing, the Republicans say, that they are the law and order party. Blue Lives Matter. But they went to Washington January 6th, and they had an insurrection. 5 people died. What happened to Blue Lives Matter January 6th? What happened to law and order? When the U.S. Congress served subpoenas on people like Steve Bannon, and they refused to respect a subpoena from the U.S. Congress, you don't believe in law and order. You don't believe Blue Lives Matter. You believe in white supremacy, and you're going to make the rules up as you go. saw the other day that President Biden and Vice President Harris spoke at the 10th anniversary of the Martin Luther King Monument in Washington on the Potomac. And I remember I was there when they did the groundbreaking. I stood with the King family and John Lewis and them over a decade ago when they did the groundbreaking. And I spoke 10 years ago at the ceremony when they did the opening. And I remember how I thought about that day. I was thinking about it when Patrick Young was talking about keep hope alive. What was so moving to me was as you stand on the banks of the Potomac, you look over and see the Jefferson Monument, who was one of the presidents, one of the founding fathers, early presidents of the United States. You look over at the Washington Monument, who was, they say, the father of the country, general of the army that led to this country being formed and break its grip from England. And you look over to your left and you see Lincoln Memorial, the 16th president of the United States that saved the Union and signed the Emancipation Proclamation. And then you come down to this monument now of a black preacher who never was president, never held an office, never had wealth or anything, but he's standing there as a monument facing presidents in the seat of government of the United States based on standing up for what is right and standing up for what is true. If you do what is right, God will make you equal to those with power and wealth. People all over the world go to Washington and just go sightseeing. And they hear our story because they go by the King Monument. Dominique bring Marcus Al to Washington to see the sights. She can't explain why he's there. Didn't nobody vote King up there. Yeah. Didn't no banker run his credit up there. Yeah. He suffered and paid dues to get up there. Yeah. And that's who we are. Because with God will bless those that will lose themselves for his sake. One right back into voting. The reason why I don't really get that flustered when I saw this week what happened with the voting, when the Republicans wouldn't vote, is because, first of all, I didn't expect them to vote, because we're not wrestling about parties. If I were to edit Paul, I'd say we wrestle not against partisans. We wrestle not with flesh and blood. Wickedness. It's a wicked thing for you to deny people the right to vote when you founded the country saying you were against tyranny. Your fight with King George was about the right to vote. That's right. But even then, it was the right for white males to vote. Yeah. You tell the whole story now. They didn't intend for blacks. We were property. They didn't intend for their own wives and daughters to vote. It was white male. If you didn't own land, you couldn't vote. White male landowners. White supremacy was the basis of this country. So how do you go from the basis to where we went? Only those that were more determined than them were able to back them down. Now, if you want to understand that, read the Bible. The Bible is a litany of stories of good fighting evil. Yeah. Y'all take the part of the Bible that does not give you any responsibility. Y'all love the jump and shout part of the Bible. Y'all love make a joyful noise part of the Bible. Y'all love I will lift my eyes to the hills. But y'all don't like the stuff on the ground, like having to fight Goliath, or having to get across Red Seas, or how to deal with getting through the Jordan. Y'all skip those parts. Y'all want to be for the joyous celebration, but they were celebrating struggles. Y'all want to sing songs like the 3 Hebrew boys, but you don't want to face no fiery furnaces. You want to talk about God or lock lions' jaws, but you don't want to go to no lions' dens. But we got here because people went through lions' dens and went through fiery furnaces. I spoke at Howard University the other Sunday, and I told them, the problem we got is that we want to wear crosses that we won't bear. You want to wear a cross, but you don't want to bear no cross. So you got a bunch of diamond-studded crosses. What no diamonds on that cross Jesus hung on? That wasn't no fashion statement. That was a place of assassination. That was where you went for stirring up the masses. How dare you go and heal the sick on the Sabbath day? How dare you raise crippled people from being crippled? How dare you open blind eyes? How dare you do Obamacare 2,000 years in advance? We crucify folk that take care of poor folk that's sick. Rich folk up in the King's Palace get medical treatment. Who are you to give medical treatment to Bartimaeus? You need to stop wearing your cross and start bearing your cross. That's why we find ourselves back as having to fight this fight that we said we thought this fight was over. It was in many ways. We went all the way. And we got them to renew the Voting Rights Act several times. But then we forgot how we got to the Voting Rights Act. If you go in the Bible, children of Israel delivered from bondage, got to the banks of the Red Sea. They turned on Moses. There ain't nothing new now that your leaders get turned on by the folk. Same folks saying rah rah will be beating you down if it looked bad 1 minute. Oh, we need new leaders. We need a new vision. What is the vision? We don't know. Jumped on Moses. Moses stretched his rod out. They got dry land in the middle of the Red Sea. Marched through the Red Sea. Got over on the other side. And wasn't long before they forgot. Man, you know you're going to walk through a river on dry land. And you're going to get on the other side and start worshiping golden calves and trinkets. Well, don't be too hard on the Israelites. American Negroes did the same thing. Y'all did the same thing. Got through Mississippi, got through Medgar Evers, got through Dr. King getting killed, got through Medgar getting killed, got through Emmett Till, got through all of that, got the right to vote, went all the way from having to be denied the right to vote and jellies in a beans jar and all of that to seeing a black president. And what did you do? Our churches stopped preaching liberation. We started being mega churches. And we started worshiping golden images. You stopped talking about what we're going to do to uplift the community and build the economy of the community. You start talking about what jet plane I'm going to get that I'm going to own. You start talking about your wealth and your doodads, which is nothing but some golden images, 21st century style. You became the pagans of those days in the wilderness. Gold-studded, diamond-studded crosses. That's where wilderness Negroes, wilderness preachers, wilderness Negroes jump up on the stage, the same stage that Aretha sung Respect. Same stage, James Brown sung Black and Proud. And you jump up on the stage and call yourself a nigga. Call your mama a hoe and a bee. That's how we got back here. We marched to Walt Dixon to get people into Hollywood, to say that blacks need to be in the movies, blacks need to control the image. And we broke the door open, and you make gangster drug film. Every one of these series on is drug pen. New season of how we took dope and did so and so in this neighborhood and that. Putting in our kids' psyche that the definition of success is to be a drug dealer and a hoodlum and a thug. You don't put down no black doctors. You don't put up no black lawyers. You act like the only way we made it was selling dope and the French Connection. That's how you got it. And if you can change the psyche of a people, then you ain't got to worry about where they're going, because their minds have been twisted. Let me tell you something. Enslavement was a process. Wasn't just a capture some slaves, capture some Africans, chain them, bring them across the ocean. Those that survive, they're going to slave. That was the first part of a process. The way that they could continue to enslave you was they had to have a process that made you conditioned to your slavery. That's right. How do you think a master could lay up in the bed with his wife, and there are 100 slaves out there in the plantation, and there were 4 or 5 of them in the house, and he could snore and sleep comfortably, because he had changed the psyche of those. That's right. That they accepted slave status. If he thought they were thinking as free people, he would have been up all night with his rifle looking out the window. But the fact that he knew they were harmless, they were no threat, is because they took the decades and then the centuries to psychologically make you a slave. Can't nobody enslave you until they convince you that that is your deserved status. And what you don't understand is that we've got to break the processing of the mentality of our people that is reinforced by some that get big platforms and use them for little self-indulgent messages. So your entertainers just looking for a hit, and your preachers just looking for a crowd. And nobody trying to feed the people to change their mind to get them out of the process of servitude. So you say, Reverend Al, I don't see no reason to be voting all this stuff you talking about. Why we gonna vote? I say, you feel all right? Yeah. You check yourself for COVID? Yeah. How you do that? My insurance. How you get your insurance? Affordable care. We got that voting. But since you've been processed, till you can elect and re-elect a black president and still think you can't do nothing. Because you've been processed that way. That's why you heard last night standing right here, Jesse Jackson, talk about that they were thinking small in Chicago and he had to make them think they can elect a mayor, and they finally went with Harold Washington. You've been processed. Do you realize 1989, we elected Dave Dinkins in New York as a black mayor, and we have not had one yet again until now with Eric Adams? 32 years. Hip, slick, New York, you up in the Big Apple. You ain't like the folk down south. Folk down south was on their 4th or 5th black mayor. You had to wait 32 years to get the second. Because you've been processed To walk around looking at the bright lights in New York and never think about why you don't control the electricity coming through the lights. You've been processed. That you live in a city with a skyline that the whole world looks at. I fly a lot. Nothing like coming back into New York, Patrick, and looking at the skyline as you landing in LaGuardia or Kennedy. But look at the skyline, the whole island of Manhattan. There's not one major building owned by a black person. Not one. Not one built by one. Not one. All the black construction companies don't build one major edifice in this borough of Manhattan. Don't have one that is owned by us. I tell you one even better. Something even more simple than that. You go to Brownsville. They got Jefferson Avenue. Runs all the way through Bed-Stuy, all the way through Brownsville. Madison Avenue, named after James, all of that. All the way through. Is that right? Yeah. Go to Manhattan, Queens, all these streets all the way through. You come to New York. North of 110th Street is Malcolm X Boulevard. South of 110th Street is 6th Avenue. North of 110th Street, Adam Clay Powell Boulevard. South of 110th Street, 7th Avenue. You ain't even got a street name for blacks to go through white areas. Because you got people downtown that do not want to have their address that I am at such Corporation at 560 Malcolm X Boulevard. That's for y'all uptown. That's for the servants uptown. Think about that now. You got all these people in the city council and they have no objection to segregated names on street corners. Process. We've been processed. And the job of the real preachers and the real influencers is to turn the process around. That's why Jesus said to the man, if you want to be into the kingdom of heaven, you got to be born again. Not born of going into your mother's womb for the second time, but born of the Spirit. And the mind, you got to get a new mind and a new spirit. You still got a slave mind and a slave spirit. And until you get born again, you cannot get liberated because you don't think and act as a liberated person. How else did they process you? They break up your family. Sell daddy to Alabama. Sell mama to North Carolina. Sell the children to Arkansas. If you break up a family bond, you break up unity. And everybody does their own thing. Even in the activist community, you don't want to have what you call traditional organizations. You're going to have your grassroots over here and this grassroots over there. And I'm grassrooty root over here. And I'm triple root here. And I'm 4 times grass here. Because you've been used to the breakup. Can't stay together. Can't watch daddy and mama get old. You can't stay together and watch uncles and aunts. You've been broke up. Trained to be broke up. Once they break you up, they sever you from your history. And if they can sever you from your history, you'll never know who you was and who you are expected to be. It's part of the process. So you don't know that you were kings and queens. Because we cut you off from your history. You don't know that you invented many of the things that the world come to know. You don't know that you built kingdoms and civilizations in Egypt and in Africa before they dealt with that in other parts of the world. I've got to sever you from your history. Well, fast forward right now. I'm not going to deal with that old school movement stuff. I don't want that old school church stuff. I want to do something new. But what you got new is not fulfilling. No. It wasn't old school that grandma was doing. She was doing what gave her the strength to go from one Sunday to the next. And they got you so processed that you condemning grandma for surviving. Well, I don't want to sing one of them old hymns, one of them old songs. When you sit up in a cubicle playing on internet, grandma was on her knees scrubbing floors. So she could put food on your daddy or mama's table. So she needed some of them hymns to get her arthritic knees up off the ground. There wasn't no cubicle for grandma. Wasn't no internet for grandma. But grandma scrubbed enough floors to put your ungrateful behind in college. And now you sitting up there with a college degree talking about you don't want to sing grandma's song. Grandma's song sponsored you. Every race in this country celebrates their heritage, celebrates those that made a way for them. But the Negro, you want to be something new. Every generation, the new Negro. You want to be something new. Right now, I heard somebody this morning with Katrina Jefferson talking about the NFL. Let me tell you something. I ain't got all the degrees back as got, but I got a little common sense. And something don't make sense to me. Colin Kaepernick takes a knee to stand up for the stuff we was marching about. Trayvon Martin, Eric Garner, Michael Brown. They would not give him a quarterback position because he took a knee. And others start taking knees. They come in the NFL and say, oh, all right, we're going to deal with justice. We're going to throw money at y'all. Well, wait a minute. What about Kaepernick's job? What about that you got all these teams and not one black owner in the whole NFL? What about where the contracts go? What are you talking about you're going to give us donations? What about the business that Kaepernick took a knee for? Fast forward now. Kaepernick still ain't got no job. Still no team black owned by the NFL. Still no blacks having major deals. But oh, we're going to let you rap at halftime. We're going to let you at halftime. In fact, you can call yourself the N-word if you want. And we're going to sell ads and make money off of you. But you're going to call old activists sellouts. While y'all have cut a deal. You ain't even full-time. You're a half-time Negro. Because you've been processed. It's a process. And you've been processed. Severed off from your history. So you hate your ancestors. And you ridicule your father and mother. But you want to do business to those that enslaved you. Or disrespected you. Or put their knee on your neck because you've been processed. Telling yourself you something new. Ain't nothing new about a processed Negro. And until we return to our history and who we are, you're out of step with where history and God was bringing you. If you're going to go and play on a team It ain't about you taking all the shots. It's about passing the ball, and when it comes to you, you take the shot if it is your clear shot to score. But you got a bunch of activists now and a bunch of preachers now that all they want is the ball and shoot. They ain't thinking about the score, whether we winning for the people. Sometimes to win, you got to pass the ball. Sometimes to win, you got to block the opposition. Sometimes to win, you get a clear shot and do a 3-shooter. All of that to win, but you don't want to win, you want to stop. You want likes on your internet page. You want folks following you that ain't following you. Because you've been processed. And you define yourself by foolishness. When I was growing up, our generation, me and Hardy and others, as bad as it was, they had shows like Diane Carroll with Julia Nurses. That's right. They even had shows like The Huxtables. Now you got these drug dealers as the symbols of success on TV for my grandson. That's it. Clowns and drug dealers. Now, yeah, we had some Superfly, and we had some black exploitation film, but they were not the dominant mainstream picture of our community. How you get a black woman vice president and you run around rapping records calling women hoes and bees? You out of step. You are not where we are. And you honor old drug guys. So-and-so just did 40 years for heroin. We're gonna welcome them home. Did 40 years, strong man, look at him. Come out of jail straight up, sleazy beezy. Used to run hard, kingpin, sleazy, welcome home. But you ain't got time to wish Jessie Jackson happy birthday, because you've been processed. White boy gets in his mid-60s and survived 40 years of public life. He's a legend. Al Sharpton get in his 60s and survived 40 years of controversy. He up to something. He's slick. They smart, we slick. Because you've been processed. That's why Harriet Tubman, when they gave an award for freeing people with the Underground Railroad, 500 slaves, she said, I could have freed more if I could have convinced them they were slaves. Reason that we can't get a lot of you to move is a lot of y'all don't know where you are. And don't know that they've reduced you to consumers and thrill addicts. That's all you want is a thrill. Give me some dope, thrill. Give me a drink, thrill. Let me watch housewives, women ripping each other's hair out their head, thrill. I mean, you sit up there grown. Some of y'all got degrees, entertained by watching people ripping weaves out each other's head. Trust me. You went to school to learn how to watch weaves get torn out. I tell you to watch politics, they say, yeah, I watch that sometimes. But Housewives is on. Madness! But that ain't how we got here. So sometimes you got to sit down and think about how we got here. Well, it ain't only racial. It's personal. Reason why Lloyd Williams, that I get up every day and work out and I'm committed, is I think about my own history. I think about how my great-grandfather was a slave and my grandfather ran a little country store that he couldn't go on the other side of Wabassa, Florida because of the tracks. And my daddy ran from the South and came north, met my mother against Jim Crow. But in my life, they went from being able not to vote to where I could run for president. I think about my life. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, I've already come. I think about things that God brought me through that they counted me out. I stood on this stage last night and thought about how I've been to court, how I've been to jail, how I've been ridiculed. But God let us stay here another day and another season. I thought about how when they called Shirley Chisholm's names, it said, who does she think she is? But next Monday night in Carnegie Hall, there's Superior Stage Place. A black woman named Kamala Harris is the Vice President of the United States, will celebrate National Action Network. My soul looks back and wonder how I got over. My soul looks back and wonder how I got over. I didn't get over calling myself no N-word. I didn't get over calling my mama no hoe. I didn't get over by selling dope. I got over on my knees, calling on a God that'll make a way out of no way. I got over when they said I wouldn't be nothing. I had teachers that told me I am somebody. My soul looks back and wonder how I got over. I'm not worried about mansion. I beat mansions before. My soul looks back and wonders how I got over.
How I got over. How I got over. You know my soul looks back and wonders how I got over. How I got over. Oh, how I got over. You know my soul looks back and wonders how I got over. Just as soon as I see Jesus, the man who died for me, the man who bled and suffered, died for you and me. I want to thank him for how he taught me. Want to thank him for how he taught me. Want to thank him for how he kept me. How he kept me and he never left me. I want to sing hallelujah. Shout my troubles over. Want to thank him for all he done to me. Oh, how I got over. How I got over. You know my soul looks back and wonder how I got over. Want to thank him for how he taught me. Thank him for how he taught me. Want to thank him for how he kept me. How he kept me and he never left me. I want to sing hallelujah. Shout my troubles over. Thank him for all he does for me. Hey, how I got over. How I got over. You know my soul looks back and wonder how I got over.
Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Singing like you mean it. Singing like you mean it. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. I'm open the doors of the movement. There may be someone today that is not a member of National Action Network. You hear us on the radio, you watch us on television, but you never became an active member of this organization. If you're here in the auditorium, I want you to come down either aisle right to the front and let us sign you up today. Your name ought to be on the roll of National Action Network. We're getting ready to do our 30th anniversary. You ought to be in the first 30 years. Say, my name is on the roll. If you're listening by radio or watching us on our media platforms, you can go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net, or you can call the toll-free number at 1-877-626-4651, 1-877-626-4651, and sign up. Brother, come and just join right here in the network. Come on, if you're here and not a member, do what this brother just did. Or if you're on our media platform, call 1-877-626-4651 and we'll sign you up right on the phone. Come on, everybody's singing. Come on, sister, that's right. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Singing like you mean. Singing like you mean. Singing like you mean. One more time. One more time, y'all. One more time, y'all. All right, in our few minutes before we go off the air, let me encourage you to watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton today and tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MSNBC. Today I'm going to have on some members of Congress and others dealing with this filibuster. I'm going to challenge them on the filibuster. And I'm going to have the producers of this documentary on the Civil War. A lot of people want to forget how we got here. And that's why I said to you today, we must stop the process of severing us from our history. Then tomorrow I'll be live from Georgia. Ahmed Arbery's father's going to be with me in church tomorrow morning, CME Church in Savannah. I'm going to talk about the case there as well as where we are with the policing legislation. So make sure you watch the show both tonight and tomorrow. You that have your tickets for the anniversary, it is of course Monday week. You have to show your vaccination to get in Carnegie Hall. Don't come down there talking about I don't believe in vaccination, because then they don't believe in you having a seat. I don't own Carnegie Hall. So I want y'all to be ready. I want us to have a great night that night. And a couple people telling me they're getting outfits to wear. Well, that's good. But I want those that have been with us 30 years particularly to be part of that. Also, I've got a new book coming out. We did the paperbacks last night, a whole book, but I got a new book coming out at the end of the year called Righteous Troublemakers. I'm telling the story of people, Reverend young, that had never gotten credit, never got limelight. August of 2020, I was walking to the stage of the Lincoln Memorial. Y'all can't talk while I'm talking. And I was walking to the stage of the Lincoln Memorial, and it was about over 200,000 of us out there. And as security was bringing me through, I saw an older man, looked like he might have been in his 80s, trying to jump up to show me something through the crowd. And I said to the security, let him through, what is he trying to say? And he showed me Reggie back, he said, a button, March on Washington, 63. He said, I was here in 63 with Dr. King, and I wanted to be here today with y'all. And he went on back in the crowd. And I thought about nobody know who that man is. He won't be in the Washington Post tomorrow. He won't be on MSNBC tonight. But he comes anyway. It is those righteous troublemakers that broke the back of Jim Crow. And I'm writing a book profiling ordinary people that did extraordinary things. Very few people know the woman I write about, Attorney Pauli Murray, who did as much legal work as anyone for civil rights, and no one gave her credit. I wrote about the sister that sat in the front of the bus and was arrested months before Rosa Parks. But because she wasn't light-skinned, like some of y'all say light-skinned it, and had a child, they didn't want to raise her up. Well, I'm raising her up. There were righteous troublemakers that might not have fit your profile, but they're the ones that broke this country down. And you can go to www.alsharptonbooks.com, www.alsharptonbooks.com, and find out how to get the books pre-ordered. All right, we're going to raise offering. You ain't got to go to WW. All you got to do is come right to me and empty your pockets. I didn't charge for books last night. I celebrated Reverend Jackson's birthday by giving all the books away. We ran out of books, but we're going to run up some money just now. We need everybody to give to the best of their ability. And we appreciate that. Again, I want to thank Katrina and Dominique and the whole team here, Brother Perkinson, for a wonderful event last night. Derek, the whole team here that did a great job for Reverend Jackson last night. I think it was a historic event, don't you? All right. All right, I need to raise our offering. I need about 10 people, about 10, that give $100 or more to come quickly. I got Welcome Committee, $100. Guardians, $100. Minister Winston Gilchrist, $100. The Reverend Patrick Young, $100. Reverend Reggie Backus, $100. Carrie Weiss, $100. Brother Roberts, $100. I heard you on first. Brother Billy Mitchell, good to see him, $100. Walt Dixon, $100. Godfather Harlem, ain't Forrest Whitaker, it's Lloyd Williams, $100. And he don't sell he ain't got no French connection. He got a connection, but it ain't that one. 50s, 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 50s. Huh? All right, from D.C., our D.C. chapter. Y'all stand up. I didn't know D.C. was in the house. All right. Brother David, $50. Brother Wayne, $50. Brother Dawson, $50. Dawn Jones, $50. Minister Carolyn, $50. D.C. in the house. I like that. About 4 of them come up here from Washington. I like that. All right, 20s, 20s, 20s. into praise dancing now. I like that. I like that. All right. Let me tell you, we tell you on the air 9 to 11 with 5 after. Let me tell you how we're going to proceed. I'm going to bring in the new members. Then we're going to do our dismissal. Then you can fist bump with whoever's near you and fist bump up with me. And then we are going to dismiss. I have to do an interview with French TV. It won't be, I'm going to do a committee meeting, then French TV. It won't be long, because all I know is parlez-vous français, and that's it. It'll be real short. Oh yeah, I know we. And then at 2 o'clock, where's Katrina? We're having a baby shower for our New York coordinator, Katrina Jefferson. And we're gonna have it right here at the House of Justice. And so you got 3 hours to get her a gift. Don't come up in here and talk about the baby if you ain't got a gift. And don't give her a copy of my book that I gave you free last night. That is not a gift. The baby can't read and she done read the book. All right. Let me bring out new members when I come forward, please. Hassan, Abdul, Malik, and Sabrina, Durden. Well, first let me thank both of you for stepping forward and joining our Justice family. We need you, we want your ideas, your involvement. They will orientate you on our various chapters and auxiliaries. You may want to join a certain auxiliary, you may have an idea you want to try with us. We want you to know you're a full-fledged member as of right now, and we want you involved with us. We're glad you stepped forward. Face the audience and welcome them. Welcome them. Welcome them to the National Action Network. Give them a big hand. Give them a big hand. All right. All right, let us all stand. Amen. Sing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost. Repeat after me, we're an African people, robbed of our name, our language, our family, our self-respect. But we shall rise, never to fall again. Up, you mighty race, you can, if you will. No justice, no peace, no justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. Fist bump with the one you next to, fist bump with me before you leave.